Hogstye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a frosty edition of the Hogseye. It feels like it's been a million years since we last talked to you, and that's just because I've been shoveling ice the entire time since
Yes.
basically the playoffs. Both Dave and I, because Philly got hit pretty hard too, just nonstop shoveling
Did you
all the
both of you
time.
survive the Arctic blast? Hopefully. I mean,
I
obviously you
mean,
survived. Did you survive without major problems? Hopefully.
uh,
So surprisingly, no power outages because I think because the dew point was so low, almost zero. So all the
mhm.
snow and everything didn't really collect on the branches, on the power lines, or anything like that. So we got pretty fortunate with that in our area.
I will say that in South Texas, it was record lows for
Yeah,
us. The low on Sunday night, I think it was 27 degrees, which is absolutely unheard of for. I mean,
Right.
I can't remember a time that ever happening here.
right.
Well,
Meanwhile, I believe Minnesota
We
was
how
didn't
minus
we
50.
didn't get any snow or ice or anything though,
Right.
so it
Yeah,
was
you
totally
guys
fine.
dodged the worst of it.
It was much ado about nothing down here.
well a
Uh,
few years ago, how cold did it get down there where it caused like massive power outages
Well,
down
that
there in
was yeah,
Texas?
that was Winter Storm Beryl. Yeah, that was about the same, maybe high
Yeah.
20s, low
But it's just
30s.
that you actually got snow and ice
We
from it.
got snow and ice, and we're
Yeah,
just not a
yeah,
thing we can do down here.
yeah.
I bet you though. I told somebody this morning, I'd be willing to bet I've got both of you beat in terms of worst winter conditions ever.
Probably. My wife was in Omaha when it hit negative 30. That's the worst I know of anybody. But
Okay, I was
yeah,
at negative 20 in Illinois with a
yeah,
negative 37 wind chill.
which is almost as bad as what Minnesota hit this last storm, which was negative 50. Which just everyone die. Like if it's negative 50, everyone just voluntarily go out and like let it take you at that point.
So, I mean, but of the two of you, is negative 20? Have
Oh, I've
either of
never
you
I've
beaten
never
negative?
gotten that low. I've gotten into
Dave?
the like
the
single digit negatives, never that high.
the closest I got, I mean, this goes back. I think right before I got in the middle, it's like late, like early '90s. I think it was. I mean, I was a teen when it was actually like minus 12,
Hmm.
somewhere around there. It was like one of the few winters that we actually had a true winter before
Yeah.
we these last several what you call basically Indian summers, what we had the last several years up until this year.
So,
So
ironically, the person from South Texas has seen the worst
Mm.
temperatures of anybody on the hog side.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
well, I
Meanwhile,
almost had the opportunity of going out to Elmendorf, Alaska for a
oh,
stint, and I definitely would have had you crushed on that one.
But yes, true, but you didn't. So,
You're right, I didn't. I mean, the winters
smartly,
up there are brutal. They actually
th-
have to have a heating core for the engines just to get their cars started in the morning
mhm.
did
without
you have
warming them up.
you served a tour in the Middle East, didn't you, Dave?
Yeah, for 6 months. Yeah,
So, were you there summer or winter?
actually, I was there during the winter time, so I was
See, I
fortunate.
was there at it. I am still, I think, under a confidentiality agreement about it, so I can't say where, but I was there in the summertime, so we got up to about 130, which was not,
So
Yeah,
which
so
was
your
it's
unfun.
career,
crazy.
your lifetime high low is 150 degrees.
Yes, negative 20 to 130. Yes, all of
uh,
that courtesy of the United States military.
uh, Speaking of people from Alaska, my neighbors who are they're staying in an Airbnb next door. I'm 90% sure they're Alaskans because they were out there shoveling in shorts, in gym shorts. They're Oregon State gym shorts. Who else would be shoveling ice in Oregon State gym shorts other than an Alaskan? Like I'm
uh,
doing some deductive reasoning here. Like there's only one group of people who are that crazy
You know where else it was cold?
in your heart.
Denver.
Oh, Denver, right? Because there was a football game in Denver.
Yeah, I was trying to keep it. We got a lot to talk about,
Yeah, we
actually.
do have a lot to talk about. All right, yeah, let's go through these championship games real quick because honestly, they don't impact Washington in the end. But yes, let's talk about that
Okay,
Denver game first.
yeah, Patriots, Broncos. It was the battle of the winter weather. I mean, the game started out
Working
decent, but
fine. Yeah.
ended up
Yeah.
being a tragedy.
Yeah.
It went about honestly how we all should
Thought.
have expected. I think
Yep.
Dave, you were contrarian and picked the Broncos, but I think
Yeah.
that was more of a hope maybe than anything. Maybe for you.
I definitely was in hoping for Denver, mostly because I
I
realized Stidham is a family friends, like my family friends know them, the Stidhams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
well, I work with a Bronco fan, and if it wasn't for that one ill-advised play by Stidham that
Mhm.
resulted in New England getting that touchdown, and if it wasn't for the poor weather that came in the way it was, and how Stidham was actually playing, he was playing
Mhm.
not terrible. But if you also throw Bo Nix into the mix too, that would have been a whole different story. But either way, if it wasn't for all that weather that came in, I mean, from everything you're talking about, from what I see on the stats wise, New England would have lost that game
Well,
pretty
there's
easily.
also, I mean, there were 4 missed field goals in that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And plus,
So-
what Sean Payton went for a 4th and goal on the 7. If he
Yeah,
would've
something
kicked
like that.
field goal
A chip
instead.
shot. Yeah.
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 It certainly Denver had a chance to win that, and
Yeah.
So, okay, the other game was the Seahawks and the Rams. This was, certainly I don't know if it was a classic, but it was certainly an outstanding battle. Seahawks won 31-27.
Mhm.
Obviously, I'd say Stafford and Darnold played pretty well. Sam Darnold.
Great resurgent story. Great.
Yeah, that's what I
resurgent
was trying to think
Yeah.
of the best way to say it. I mean, because
Yeah.
he drafted first round, didn't succeed, and now he's kind of come back all the way back in the Super Bowl. And we're not going to go over stats and everything, but he was 25 for 36, 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, 127.8 quarterback rating. Congratulations to Sam Darnold. I mean, they dumped Geno Smith,
Mhm.
for him, and it's worked out. So, congrats.
Yeah.
Fun fact: both guys drafted by the Jets and miserable failures with the Jets, who have now had decent careers after the fact, right?
The Jets
Yeah.
are just a complete joke. I mean, they're the only, I'd say, of the Dan Snyder led Washington team,
Right.
I'd say only the Jets and the Cleveland Browns and the Bengals. Those 3 franchises are the only ones. They're all in the same category, but the Jets might
Right.
have been worse because at least Washington had, even under Snyder, had the occasional playoff appearance. But the Jets have just been a
The
train
Jets
wreck.
do a worse job finding quarterbacks than anybody,
They do a worse job of
honestly,
everything than
just
everybody.
ruining quarterbacks because they draft more first round quarterbacks than Washington has over that time. I'm sure.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
none
I
of
think
them
I
have
looked
been
this up one time, but I don't remember what the answer was.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll do that when we're bored.
One of these days, I'll do like an analysis of the worst quarterback drafts. Well, one of these off-season,
what
months, I'll
team
get
really
bored enough to do
sucks
that.
at being a team?
I'll get around to that, something like that, one of these weeks.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. There's not a whole lot to say. Obviously, now we're faced with another New England versus Seattle Super Bowl, which just boring from that perspective, but it is what it is. It's weird that we're seeing that again already with 2 new quarterbacks, 2 new head coaches for both teams. But it doesn't feel like it was that long ago since those 2 teams faced off in the Super Bowl.
I mean, it's been less than a decade.
Right? Right? That's kind of weird.
We can preview the Super Bowl next week.
Yeah, we'll do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We'll do that. All right. Why don't we focus on the stuff that really matters? Back to the weather and me having to go into work on Monday. What the hell was I thinking?
Ironically, I didn't have to go to work on Monday for some weird reason. I don't know why that was.
Actually,
but...
and we were suspended operations, so
Yeah.
I spent the whole entire day chipping ice off the driveway.
But, Alex, I've told you before, law firms are humorless about stuff like that. So
I know. I was ready, and they called me and they said, "Alex, you're the best looking person in the office. You're, the smartest and the most dynamic, and you can fix everything. So we need you to come in." That's what happened. All the men want to be you. All the women want to be with you. It's a whole thing.
Uh-huh.
There we go.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the actual big story for Washington that happened this week. Hey guys, we finally hired a defensive coordinator. It seems like it took them forever to make this decision, because they fired Joe Witt week 13 from that position. They didn't fire him, but
Something
they
along
removed
those lines.
removed him
Yeah.
from responsibilities of play calling and other things.
Right.
and he was still hanging out because he's Dan's buddy. But
Right.
they hired Durante Jones. He's been a cornerbacks coach for the Vikings most recently. Long career, though, as an NFL and college and also 1 year in the CFL head coach. This is a guy who's been coaching since 2001, since he graduated college. By the way, he went to Morgan State for 4 years, but before that, guess where? Temple guy. So
I mean,
now
everybody has
top
their
of the
flaws.
list.
Everybody
Top of my
has their
list.
flaws.
He's gonna have to share. He's gonna have to share a bunk with a couple other guys on the team at the Alex house, but he gets in.
More the merrier, right?
You might have found a new boyfriend, Alex.
It's not. It's simply a free bunkhouse if they ever need it. They can always crash in my
It's a
guest
free
room.
bunkhouse in Alex's bed.
Anyway, so he coached at a bunch of different locations. I won't get into all of them, but he made his way from like Division 3 or 4, whatever the lowest possible
He
division
made his
is.
way from high school
He
up
went
through a
yep.
bunch of colleges
He
into
started out at
LSU.
some very small colleges, went to high school to be a DC for a while. Then, like you said, yeah, CFL I mentioned, LSU like you mentioned. He coached at Hawaii for a long time.
Certainly paid his dues.
He is paid.
We didn't
his
really
dues.
mention the most important thing, which is that before this new job, he was the Vikings defensive backs coach and pass game coordinator.
Right. He was doing that for a couple years. He's worked for a lot of good head coaches and defensive minds in his career. But that's the most recent one, and Brian Flores and all that.
I mean, honestly, it's not that I don't have a lot to say about him. It's that I think they need better players more than they need a better coach.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure this guy knows football. You
Right.
know, now I think honestly, the reason why it took a while for this is that I mean, he wants to get promoted, so he's willing to take a chance at it. But listen, there's one more bad year.
Mhm.
You know, Dan Quinn's, going to be on the hot seat, and they allowed him to fire his immediate staff, and that's, that was the probably the price he had to pay for keeping his job. And
Mhm.
so I think in those circumstances, a lot of coaches aren't going to want to come here to DC knowing that the coach might be gone next year. And so
Right.
you're going to have to, kind of dig somebody up who wants a shot. And, this is Durante Jones. So you're not going to get Brian Flores or whatever, or, if that's the wrong,
Jim Schwartz, whoever.
yeah,
Yeah.
so wrong
Right.
side of the ball. But you get my point. So I think that's how we end up with somebody like Durante Jones.
Well, I know from what I understand, the Durante Jones has become over the last couple of years kind of a guy to watch. He's somewhat highly touted around the league. He was going to get a DC coordinator job eventually.
Mhm.
Blau is kind of in that same, well, much faster track, obviously, but he was, and that's one thing that's kind of driving me nuts with some of the fellow fans out there, because you complain all these years we let these young guys walk out. Now Dan Quinn takes a shot at a couple up and coming young guys to be coordinators,
Mhm.
and some of you guys are freaking out because you're not getting a Mike McDaniel. Well, he's not coming here because of what you said, Steve. Flores is not going to come here because of what Steve just said. These guys, these prominent guys aren't going to come here for that. And I think the two choices they made, I think are good, young, strong-minded position coaches. I think, everything may work out well. But like you said, Steve, we got to get the talent. And I know Dan Quinn's going to be in a hot seat, but I'll be honest with you. Adam Peters, you have got to get the talent in this room. You have got to make the moves free agency. You got to get you got to start hitting on these draft picks, because before I start putting Dan Quinn on the hot seat, I have to sit here and start looking at the guy who put this whole platter of players together for him, and it's come across very, very lukewarm so far to this point. He's hit on a couple pieces, I get it, and I'm not giving up on him, but this offseason is awfully crucial for Adam Peters as well. And if you don't get the talent on this roster, I don't care who you bring in as defensive coordinator. we're not going to have a competitive defense. That means you're going to have to spend in free agency.
Yep.
And, there are some pieces out there to do that, too, that aren't like 30, 31 years old either. So,
I mean, that's absolutely the case. You're dead on there. It's as much on the general manager to build this thing. And
Right.
On that note, one thing we didn't have on our list but should be worth mentioning, they are letting Gribble go. That's the guy who's been their college scout for the last few years. The head of college scouting is going to be moving on, it sounds like. I keep on wanting to say Dale Gribble, but that's the character from King of the Hill. It's Bill Gribble. Hey, you laugh, but if we put a hat and sunglasses on Steve and made him shout conspiracy theories, we'd have Dale Gribble, right? Right.
Bubby was very upset about the fact that the scout left, and so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
missed a lot of whatever joke Alex just made about me. I missed it.
You
So,
you're Dale Gribble because you're a Texan who has conspiracy
I'm not a
theories.
Texan. Okay, let's get this straight. I live here. I'm not from here. I'm not from anywhere, so I do not consider myself from anywhere except, possibly Air Force Base, USA.
That's what they want you to think. Anyway, yes. So Gribble's going as far as scouting goes. But back to this, I agree with you. This guy, I was able to do some digging. I can only really find one interview that he's done with some random podcast out up in like Vikings land from I don't know if it was last year or the year before. But I found an interview with him, like a 20-minute interview on Reddit of all places. He seems like a good guy. Like seems like the kind of coach. He's big on building relationships with his players, big on coaching guys up. More like he didn't talk about X's and O's and that kind of stuff. But that's what we need. We need coaches who actually remember coaching's about developing talent. It's not about,
right.
It's not just about saying, here's my scheme, do it. That's the least talented part of coaching is scheming. Developing
I don't
guys.
know if it's the least talented part, okay? I mean, that's equally as important.
Oh, sure. You can't just run one scheme all day
I
but
get
you
your
need
point.
to,
I mean,
yeah.
you have to develop talent, but I don't
Right.
want to sit here and say, well, that it's easy to go, scheme a game. It's not.
I think it's more important to grow players than to just draw up plays all day long.
Especially players that are scheme fit. And you're not
yeah.
trying to force these like square pegs in a round hole type situations. So
Right. And on that note, one thing to note about the guy who they've picked up, his career, he's historically been more of a 3-4 guy. Now I know that doesn't matter as much as it did 10 years ago, 3-4 versus 4-3, but that is his background. So that's worth noting too. Is Dan Quinn comes from a 4-3 cover 3 kind of philosophy, and now he's bringing in a DC who's different, frankly.
I've never liked the 3-4 for the NFC East just because I think you need more, beef up front, so to speak.
right.
Style-wise, it's not
because
NFC
of the
football.
style. Right. I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Yeah.
But that also doesn't mean that he's going to run a 3-4 either.
No, of course not. Of course not. I just thought it's worth noting. Anyway, so that it'll be interesting to see. I listened to that interview. He seems like a smart guy. Seems like he's not one of those like meathead football coaches. He doesn't come across that way. He comes across as somebody who's really thinking a lot about this stuff.
Who was the coordinator that was at Washington for a time that got caught snorting coke with a hooker in his office?
What? I don't remember a
There's
coordinator.
a video of this. I'm not making this up. Neither one of you remember this?
No.
There was a
This didn't-
situation. There was a
didn't happen
situation
at-
with Jay Gruden with
wasn't him.
He was
I know,
smoking
but there
weed
was-
after he got fired. Yeah,
That's the
supposedly.
closest thing I could think of to
No,
what you're talking about.
I'm okay. This didn't happen in Washington, okay? But now I'm gonna have to look this up. Keep talking, Alex. I'm gonna find this.
All right. Oh, not in Washington. I do vaguely
No, not in
remember.
Washington. Someone who
Uh,
had been in Washington.
Chris Foster is who you're thinking of. Miami Dolphins.
Chris Foster.
Yeah, Forster. Sorry, not Foster.
Yeah.
Yay for AI for finding that so quick. Oh, also, if AI has found a photo of this woman, okay, I can understand it. Um,
So unfortunately, I had to Google Chris Forrester, cocaine and hookers on my Google. God knows what that's going to generate.
incognito
Oh, that's
mode.
going to be a
Incognito
great
mode.
It's too late.
graphic.
I
Oh.
didn't do it. It's too late.
Oh no,
So
Steve.
that is a more of a certainly you.
That's the
That's an
meathead.
extreme example, but
Yes.
there's a lot of that sort of stuff in the NFL. Not coke and hookers necessarily, but
Well,
that
who
those kind of attitudes, shall we
to
say?
go more traditional? Remember the coordinator that Gruden hired his last year, who had the crazy mutton chops? That's what I think of when I'm like a
Yes,
more meathead. Was it Minuski? I think it was Minuski.
Minuski. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I liked Minuski. He was a fun guy in interviews, but just sounded like a meathead, right?
All right, we need
uh,
to move on.
all right. Okay, let's move on. The big story in the NFL this week, guys. Uh, the Hall of Fame, they're whittling down to 15 candidates, and the one name that everyone thought would be a shoe-in, Bill Belichick, snubbed as a first ballot Hall of Fame candidate. Uh, Now I also saw as I was like checking up on this story, Eli Manning's out now. It looks like he will not be getting advanced this year. So, a couple big names not getting in this
Well, and to be
class.
clear, what has happened, I think, is the semifinalists have been eliminated.
Correct. We're down to
Now,
15.
and also, I'm not sure coaches like Belichick. I'm not sure is. I don't know this. I'm not saying this is
Mhm.
true. I don't know if the coaches are in the same pool as the players.
No, that's true. Those are different groups,
Right.
but it's the
Right.
players who are down to 15.
So here's my
Yeah.
take on this. Number one, this doesn't mean Belichick's not going to get in the Hall of Fame. He's going to
Right.
get in the Hall of Fame. The controversy is, should he be in a first ballot Hall of Fame? And probably, he's won 6 Super Bowls. On the
Right.
other hand, um, the last couple years went horribly wrong. He got in trouble for cheating. He was the beneficiary of Tom Brady, and
Sure.
it's a bit of a chicken and egg argument with them, because would Brady have been the same without Belichick and blah blah blah, all of
Right.
that. But there were a couple things against him, and just very recently, at North Carolina, he's got a lot of bad press with this 25-year-old Chapita he's running around with, and
Right.
and so the media, um, he's taken some media hits recently. So
Mhm.
while yes, I think I would have voted for him to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, I'm not totally shocked, and I don't think it's the end of the world because he'll get in. But I don't think it's is quite as shocking as some do simply because of the circumstances surrounding Bill Belichick. That's my take.
Well, to me, when it comes to a guy with Belichick, I know he has what the Deflate Gate and the
Yep.
Spygate thing over him. I
Right.
get
Right.
that,
Multiple gates.
but I mean, like when you look at the Spygate, I mean, the Patriots just simply got caught. You cannot convince me that other teams did not try to do the exact same thing and others weren't successful at it. They just so
Probably.
happens to get caught. And when you look at that Super Bowl against the Eagles, the Eagles were more predictable on the field anyway to begin with. Even when they came into the second half, I mean, it was nothing that Spygate actually did that actually affected that game because even when they changed up the game plan, they still couldn't really do anything against them. But whatever, that's beside the point.
Spygate was
Deflategate,
mostly about the Rams, though, not the Eagles. It was
well,
that
no, the
first.
Spygate. I thought the
No, it was
Spygate
the
led into
Rams.
the.
I think it was the Rams.
Yeah.
I agree with Alex.
Which one was the Eagles in? Because was
They
that the
the
Deflategate
Eagles
maybe?
just sucked. That was the Eagles.
Because I thought they had something with the Eagles as well going that Super Bowl. You have to look that up for me, Steve, real quick while I'm talking. I guess I thought the Eagles had something with that, but
Well,
whatever.
I hate to burst the Philly bubble. I know you're
It's
not
not
an Eagles
always
guy,
about
but
the Eagles.
Yeah, well, still because because they have a continued sour taste in their mouth because of what Belichick did to them in that
sure.
year, and I thought that was Spygate. I could be completely off on that. But either way, regardless,
Okay, so what AI tells me is the significant controversy was benching star cornerback Malcolm Butler. And then
That's not Spygate.
no, but
no.
it says before their 2005 matchup, reports emerged that the Eagles believed the Patriots had previously or were attempting to secretly videotape their practices.
Yeah, Spygate.
But I don't
Right?
think they got caught. It says the Eagles believed the Patriots had previously or were attempting to. Here, keep talking, Dave. I'm gonna
So,
look
Okay.
up Bill
so
Belichick
the
Spygate.
Spygate thing was the 2007 season. I just Googled that.
Okay.
So
So I
was
think
that?
it was simply that the Eagles thought, probably correctly,
Mhm.
that
So
they were doing it.
so they were probably the tea leaves caught into it, and a couple years later, where it actually probably came out.
That is
So
right.
That
Yes.
would make
so
sense.
so it all still kind of ties together in that sense, right there, I guess.
Sure.
But so it's uh, I get the controversies on that and everything, but you still have to look at what he did coaching wise on the field, the decisions he still made in the team. I mean, early going, while Tom Brady was nowhere near the quarterback he ended up being when he got Gronk and all them. It was a defensive team with a heavy running game, and they won. Not because of Tom Brady, but because of the team itself as a whole. When Tom
Right.
Brady became the quarterback he became, that shift happened, and you started seeing more, Tom Brady putting the team on the shoulders, putting the numbers up. And I think people forget about those first few years when
Yeah,
Brady
but
was
all of this is,
becoming.
I mean, nobody's debating that it was worthwhile, Dave. I mean, the
No,
question
I
would
get
be,
that.
should he have been a first ballot?
Oh yeah, see, see, that's the point. Everything I'm saying is why he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. If his media run-ins, which were not great, his answers were short answers, the media didn't like them. If these are some of the reasons outside of some of the like Spygate or whatever, if this is some of the reasons why he was left out because of how he treated media personnel, then we need to reassess how the whole voting thing is
Listen,
done
that's
because
why
that's just
Joe Jacoby
ridiculous.
isn't in the Hall of Fame
Well,
because,
Right.
yeah,
you
you're
know,
We've been
absolutely
told
right.
that multiple times
yeah,
by
Yes.
people is that
that's right.
because they were not a high energy media savvy group, that's why
Yeah.
a lot of the Washington Redskins from the 80s didn't get in
Yeah.
for so long.
And that's why I've looked at the Hall of Fame for the last few years. You guys seen my tweets. I have zero respect or any reverence at all for the Hall of Fame anymore, especially for the selection committee. I think they're a joke. I think it's just become a boys club, and it's an institution
That's
that
right.
it's a is a shell of itself. Period. Because
Well
when you
said.
have guys like Brady and guys like Belichick, they should just automatically be put in.
Those
Period.
guys,
There should be
those
no
guys
voting.
Brady,
should
I don't
have.
think is even eligible yet.
No, you're no, but
He's
I'm
not.
just saying
I
when he
think
gets to that
another
point.
2 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So
I'm guessing Brady will be a first ballot.
Oh, there's no doubt Brady will be a
Um,
first ballot.
yeah. Look. This is entirely retribution for Spygate. I think. Maybe
And also, he's
the
kind of a weirdo, and the media didn't really like him. You know.
yeah, but I think the media would have gotten over that if Spygate hadn't happened. You would just be like, yeah, he was a weirdo, but he also won
And I
$100,000
think it matters
Super
that
Bowls.
his last couple teams really stunk.
True.
And he left New England in kind of with a bad, in not great
It
circumstances.
took him 2
and
whole
then,
years to get back to the Super Bowl. Poor them.
Yeah, well, and then his year in North Carolina hadn't gone well, and there's this weird girl that he's hanging out with, this kind of giving him a bad rep a little bit, and I don't think none of that should matter, but I think it all matters at some level in the ether,
Oh yeah, I think everything does, and they're not supposed to let it. It always does. They're not
Clearly.
supposed to let it impact them, but these reporters are thin-skinned. A lot.
So
of them
come
are.
talk to me next year. If he doesn't get in next year, then yeah, there's a problem.
Yeah. I don't think he's gonna get the Pete Rose treatment or any of that.
No,
like this is gonna be
Pete
a
Rose
1
got
year.
banned from baseball. That's not.
Yeah.
No.
Well, okay, that's fair. Who's a better comp of somebody who probably should get in, but some
Well,
off-field?
I mean, Barry Bonds
Sure,
in
Barry Bonds would be a
baseball,
better
he's
one.
the
Yeah.
greatest hitter in baseball history, and they've just and he never got suspended for steroids, and they just totally ostracized him.
Right. But he absolutely did steroids.
That's not the point. The point
Yes.
is he didn't get ever
He didn't get caught.
Right.
Belichick was sloppy. He got caught. He's not as smart as Barry Bonds, I guess. That's how you judge your intelligence, is how you get caught.
And plus, the last couple of years, you could tell that the game was kind of passing his coaching style by.
Oh, sure.
You know, he didn't really adapt like what Andy Reid did.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The last couple
So,
of
yeah.
years didn't do well. You know.
But is that the game, or is that just the roster and all? Like,
Well, I mean, every
we all know
Probably
dynasty
mix of
comes to
both.
an end. Yeah.
Yeah. Andy Reid's really the anomaly that the game hasn't passed him by yet. Like, he's super rare in that respect.
Listen, Andy Reid has given way more of himself than almost anybody than he should have.
Frankly,
for football. Yeah, he should have placed his family over at some level first, and he never did. But you know, football wise, it's worked out for him. I hope it was worth it.
Yeah,
because I mean, he lost his son. You know, to drugs.
He lost one. The other's in jail. Like, yeah.
Maybe I mean, you know, maybe if you think more about being a father, you could have prevented some of that from happening.
It's hard to say, but there might be some truth to it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, why don't we palate cleanser, and why don't we do our free agency
Whoa. We gotta. I can't do this finish this without saying what a pathetic joke the Pro Bowl has become.
Oh no, that was supposed to come after. That's
was
later.
it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We can make fun of the Pro Bowl real quick. We're good on time.
Shedeur Sanders. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Shedeur Sanders, yeah.
Yes.
Who was an absolutely terrible NFL quarterback this year.
Didn't even play more than 5 games, right? Like,
got elected to be an alternate for the Pro Bowl because of his last name.
Right.
And it just shows that the Pro Bowl is a pathetic joke. They need to just eliminate that. Nobody watches it anymore. Yeah. It's pathetic. It needs to go away. And I think this is the death knell for the Pro Bowl. At least it should be. So that's all.
It absolutely should be. For those who don't know about the Pro Bowl, do you guys know what the format is this year?
Isn't it flag football now?
7-on-7 flag football, played in an indoor facility, not even a football stadium, that seats about 4,000 people. It's basically being played in an expo center.
Why are they doing it?
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point?
It is a shell of what it used to be. We were saying just for the show, it was never a great game, right? Like back in the 80s and 90s when it was in Hawaii, it was never great, but at least it was a game.
It was a show, and you could watch it. And by the way, when they have these, isn't this thing in this weekend on the off?
I think so. Who even
which
knows?
means that nobody who's
February
in the
3rd,
Super Bowl is can participate.
Right, but that's how it used to be anyway, and we just lived with it.
Some of them showed up though. Handful of them did, but this week, none of them. So I don't want to dwell on the Pro Bowl. It's pathetic. The NFL needs to give up the charade.
Let's do a quick quiz though. Can either of you name the one Washington player in the Pro Bowl?
Yes, Trustway.
Okay, good. So someone still paid attention to that part.
I did.
Well, it's really the only logical name to pick.
Yeah, there really isn't anyone else, is there? You could.
No.
Bobby Wagner might have made it.
No. Kane Madrano.
Yeah.
Kane, yeah, true.
Special teams player. Yeah.
Yes, great point, Steve.
Yeah. Yep. Hey,
I'm never gonna give it up.
We've had other guys get in as that special teams guy.
Jeremy Reeves deserved it though.
He did. He absolutely did. And that was an All-Pro, not even a Pro Bowl, right?
Was it?
Well,
I think
that was All-Pro.
I think he got both actually.
Okay, but no one cared about the Pro Bowl.
No.
Let it die. Unless you're gonna put the game back to how it was in Hawaii, and like have them have fun, let it die. Just
what the Pro Bowl has become? It's like one of these bands that can't play anymore and can't sing anymore, and they just get up there and they're lip syncing and they're standing there and they're off.
Right.
That's what the Pro Bowl is now.
Yes. I wanted to think. I'm trying to think of a good band. I remember going to see Bob Dylan live, and it was like
Bob
that.
Dylan, perfect. The Pro Bowl is Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Because he's terrible. He can't sing anymore.
Right.
He's horrible.
Yes. Shell of himself.
By the way, so for the record, Jeremy Reeves was first team All-Pro and Pro Bowl both in 2022.
All right, you were right. Cool.
We were both right. 'Cause I
Yes.
think I said Pro Bowl, and yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on and talk about our position group breakdowns for free agency. And we have two groups to do here for the free agency previews, right? We have defensive line and quarterback. Steve, you wrote
Yes.
quarterback.
Yes.
And our buddy Nolan from Tampa wrote the defensive line. I'll let you pick. Do you want to do quarterback first, or do you want to go through the defensive lineman first?
Let me whip through quarterback here real
Okay.
fast. Okay, so obviously Washington, the perspective of Washington here is they need a backup quarterback.
Right.
And they're going to probably sign at least two, for the offseason.
Probably.
So I just start off by saying there's a whole bunch of free agent quarterbacks. I'm going to read them real quick, but Marcus Mariota needs to be the guy. I don't care what anybody says. He's the perfect backup. Was he great last year? No, but he's a backup. So all of this is a bunch of hooey, and they need to sign Marcus Mariota. But here's a quick list of all the quarterbacks who are eligible for. Since this is the purpose of this, by the way, is the free agency preview by position group, not just necessarily geared towards Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So, the players that are eligible, except for the exclusive rights and the restricted free agents. I'm just going to whip through them. Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Zach Wilson, Tyrod Taylor, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mitchell Trubisky, Case Keenum, Trey Lance, Brandon Allen, Josh Johnson, Carson Wentz, Malik Willis, Kyle Allen, Teddy Bridgewater, John Wolford, Tyler Huntley, Easton Stick, Brett Rippon, Gardner Minshew, Skylar Thompson, Sam Howell, Sam Ellinger, and Jeff Driscoll. Now, if you want to, this has been published. That'll be published probably Friday. But I did the same thing that I did for the tight end group and eliminated some and everything. And so let me just whip through this. So I eliminated the obvious starters: Jones, Rodgers, Wilson.
Right.
Rodgers because he'd be the worst backup ever. I eliminated the old guys. That's Joe Flacco and a couple others in here. Trey Lance because he sucks and he's terrible. Malik Willis because he sucks and he's terrible. Carson Wentz has already been here. And so when it comes down to it, you sort of get all the way down. The group that I think is possible beyond Mariota if they want to move on is Zach Wilson, Tyrod Taylor, Kenny Pickett, Garoppolo, Keenum, Brandon Allen, Josh Johnson, Teddy Bridgewater. And where I ended up with is the best ones would have been Tyrod Taylor, Teddy Bridgewater, Josh Johnson. That's on top of the number one, who's obviously Mariota. So that was in summary form, that's quarterbacks.
I agree with you. They should bring back Mariota. If he, for some reason, he doesn't want to be back, like let's say he wants to go with
Tyrod
Kingsbury
Taylor,
or
Teddy Bridgewater,
right?
Which
I'm fine with any of those guys. Garoppolo is a name I'm interested in just because I want to find guys who Daniels can learn some new play styles from.
Yeah, but you know what? That's the thing. It's like Garoppolo's play style is very different than
absolutely.
Daniels.
He's much more of a traditional drop back West Coast kind of guy.
I just don't know if he's going to fit the offense that Jane Daniels is going to be in. Like Tyrod Taylor especially could fit the offense, I think.
Well, it's hard to tell because these older guys, as they go older, they're
I get it, but we're not talking about perfect fit here. We're talking about
of course
backup.
Yeah. My only thinking is there's a little part of me that's like your backup quarterback could also teach the kid new tricks.
Yeah.
Which is not crazy, right? Like that's a way to help him develop too. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see what they do there, and if Mariota stays, I think we all would lean towards him staying. All right, let's go through the interior defensive line. Again, this was Tampa's list. So Tampa didn't do your method of kind of whittling it down very much.
I kind of like my method. I think
I actually do like your method a lot too. I tried doing it. I started working on linebackers, but let's just say the linebacker class is not as easy to whittle down.
Yeah, it's tougher for some groups. But keep going, Alex.
All right.
Well, it's tough to find competition for K. Madrano, so I mean.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, that is the truth.
He's untouchable.
All right. So Tampa's interior defensive line group. There's a lot of defensive linemen out there, obviously, and a lot of this is going to depend on: are we running a 3-4 now? Does that mean we're going to need to think about, we need to get a nose tackle and all that kind of stuff? Also, what do they do with Deron Payne, because he's on a massive contract right now, right? That's
We'll
going to be
get to
big.
that. We're gonna do a salary cap update here in a minute. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that with that part. So I'll just give you some of the big names. All right, so we got Logan Hall, David Onyemata, or Onyemata. I don't know that guy from the Falcons. I don't know his. Sheldon Raskins, DJ Reader.
Not really a big name then, is it? But
No.
continue.
Well, he just lists them, man. Like, Tavir Tart, Shelby Harris, Andrew Billings, John Franklin Myers, Callis Campbell, Sebastian Joseph Day, Daquan Jones, Jordan Elliott, Neville Gallimore, Roy Lopez, Tim Settle. Oh, Tim Settle. Remember Tim Settle, everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a name that from the past.
It's a name, yeah.
Yes. Jerry Tillery, Greg Gaines, James Lynch, Jonathan Bullard, and Levi Ozenkuri from the Lions. I'm not even gonna pronounce it right.
I think it's Onwuzurki.
Onwuzurki.
Yeah.
So I will say that Tart and Neville Gallimore are the two guys that Tampa really thinks they should pursue. Both are going to be relatively affordable, which I think is a big factor there, because
this is assuming Deron Payne is gone, by the way, for the record.
But even if he's gone, they're already investing quite a lot in the interior defensive line, so they can't.
Yes, they are.
Like you said, you'll get into that in a minute, but they don't have a lot to spend. Like, if your hope is that they find a superstar on the defensive line, it's not going to happen. I would say, though, we need to pay attention to looking for that big interior nose tackle if this really is going to be going to more of a 3-4 look. I think you need to look at DJ Reader from the Lions. He's 330 pounds. Someone like that just to stuff the inside.
Yeah, we just don't know until we know what the defense is going to be.
Yeah, right.
But that was the problem. Remember the last time they tried to run the 3-4 here for years, they never found that true nose tackle. But it was like all those years under Haslett and Shanahan, they just never had it. And it was a mess. And like, you can't run a 3-4 without a nose.
Well, you can. You're just going to do it badly.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough. It might be the most important position.
You could put you and me in there as the nose tackle. It doesn't mean it's going to go well.
Combined, we would probably equal what you need for a nose tackle.
Weight-wise, skill-wise, we would not.
Yes. Duct tape Steve and I together somehow, and we're one person.
We would just be a lot of weight with no athletic ability.
All right. And we're doing that 3-legged race style duct taping. Just to be clear. All right. So that's the defensive tackle options, interior defensive line, as we're calling it. I'm old.
The reason I paired these two together in the beginning of this series, folks.
Because we're probably not going to do a lot at either spot.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And it's a reason why we're doing it in the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl time.
Yeah. All right. So we made fun of the Pro Bowl. I can cross that off the list. We did this. Steve, let's do your salary cap update.
Salary cap. All right. So last week I did offense and a summary. The summary here is that I have estimated the salary cap for Washington to include the estimated base plus all the adjustments at about $326 million. That's up $20 million basically from last year. All of this means if you add up Washington's used up about $254 million as of now, and so that gives them about $70 million in free cap space. But if you throw in the draft picks, the draft pick pool, takes it down to about $59 million, which means that they're probably going to spend somewhere between 35 and $48 million. So that's the summary. Now defense. So defensive line, I'm not going to go through all this in too much detail. You can read it. It's posted on the site. But Deron Payne. So Deron Payne is the largest hit on the team. He's at 28 million. He's in the final year of his contract. His dead cap pre-June 1 is just 11.2 million, which means that they just outright cut him. They could save, almost 17 million dollars. I think more likely what they could do, they could extend him and convert some of this to his base salary is only 16.4 million, so you convert half that to signing bonus, reduce his cap hit, extend it out. So they could cut him, but they could also keep him and get him way down from 28 million. So I think that's equally likely if they like him, which they do. And then Javon Kinlaw also has a pretty big hit. He's 16.2 million, but there's nothing they can do with him. Linebackers, there's only 6 linebackers signed right now. None of them have big cap hits at all. They're all on minimum contract. Frankie Louvu is the biggest one, 11.3 million in the final year of his contract. So
Right.
corners, Marshawn Lattimore is a big question mark there. He's got a cap hit of 18.5 million. Now they could do the same thing routine with him and extend him, but I don't know why you'd want to extend Marshawn Lattimore. He's got a huge base salary, so they could reduce his cap hit by a lot if they wanted. But then the downside of reducing his cap hit is he's still on the team, and that's probably not good. And the rest of
I
these,
want to extend him to the bread line. That's where I want to extend
yeah,
him to.
well, I don't care if he's in the bread line. I just don't think he should be on this team.
Metaphorically.
Yes, and everybody else are minimum rookie deals there in corners. Safeties, Will Harris, the only one who has a big cap hit, 5 million. Jeremy Reeves at 3.5. Percy Butler's at 2.8. And there's 6 of them. The rest of them are all on min contracts. And the specials group isn't really a group right now. It's just the long snapper, Tyler Ott. That's it. They need a punter. They need a long snapper. They have no one right now. So the 2 biggest position groups on the team, and on defense, it's the defensive line, 19.4% of the cap space, and offensive line was the biggest. I think it was 22 million or 22%. So that's the salary cap update.
Which, by the way, that's not atypical that your O line takes up a pretty big chunk because there's a lot of them.
Oh yeah,
And,
absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the update there, Steve.
The trick, if anybody remembers anything, it's that you don't have to cut Deron Payne to save cash. You could keep him, extend him, convert some of his base to a signing bonus, and that would spread it out over the years, and you could reduce his cap hit and keep him if they wanted to. But it continue.
Right.
Yeah, they have options with Payne. They could do nothing. They could, they could look for trades. I don't
think they're going to do nothing. His cap hit is enormous, 28 million. They're not going to do nothing.
True, but he also always plays best under a contract here. So there's that. Yeah. All right, so that does the cap hit. All right, last topic, and we have about 10 minutes, so this will, I think, be perfect. The coaching shuffle that has happened. As we've talked about before, what was it, 10 head coaching positions open this year, like a record high, I believe.
Right.
So a couple of guys have been hired. We already knew about the Giants hiring Harbaugh. We talked about that. But the Bills promoted Joe Brady, their OC, to their head coaching position. The Ravens hired Jesse Minter, which I think is an interesting one. I don't really get that one that much.
I didn't get firing Harbaugh personally.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, I mean, it could have been a run its course thing. I could understand that to an extent after almost 2 decades, but even so.
Maybe they run their course with the quarterback.
It could be. I don't know. I mean,
I'm a Lamar Jackson fan, but I mean, at some point
it's not gelling. Yeah.
I mean, he's looked bad in almost every year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it's not just coaching. I think these better defenses kind of have a handle on him.
Yeah, it could be. Titans, Robert Saleh, and Stefanski goes to the Falcons. Dolphins hired the Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. But here are the 2 ones that happened recently that I kind of laugh at a little. Mike McCarthy is now the head coach of the Steelers. Uh, the only good news is I don't think that's going to last 20 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he's
right.
going to be like 70.
I think he's already close to 70. Mike
Is he
McCarthy's
that
getting up
old?
there.
I don't think
I
he's
don't
that
know how
old.
old he, I don't know how old he's
I'll
never
keep talking.
he's
I'll look
never
it up.
looked young. So that
Well,
doesn't
that's because
help.
he's like 100 pounds overweight.
He was 100 pounds overweight when he was healthy. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, so McCarthy at
Actually, he's not as old as you think. He's 62.
62, really? I thought he
He
would have
just
been
looks
late
bad.
60s. Working for Jerry Jones will do that to you.
Yeah.
And coaching Aaron Rodgers for almost 10 years will do that to you too.
That's
Yep.
true. The man has worked with some really leather-faced, toxic people in his life.
So I mean, if he lasts 10 years,
Yeah,
that's real. That's about as realistically as far as he's going to go, right?
absolutely.
Realistically.
8
And
would
so
be
you're not going to
getting to
have
70 would be a miracle. Yeah,
because Chuck Noll did like 20 years or whatever,
right,
and Tomlin did about what 19, I think.
right.
It's not going to happen like that with McCarthy.
You know
No.
what he is? You remember that weird the Nazi Pope guy that they hired after John Paul? They're like he's old. He's gonna have a
Yes.
short run. He's that guy. I don't remember that Pope's
And
name,
and,
but
and just what Alex was talking about, it's the Catholic Church
right.
elected, didn't hired. They elected someone as Pope who had like Nazi
He was
background in
he was
some
part of
way.
the Hitler Youth or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
when he was a kid. Yeah, weird
Perhaps not the
weird.
wisest choice.
Yes, yeah. It really helped them cover up all the other things that were going.
That might have been Ratzinger, John Ratzinger, I think.
That's who it was. That's who
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember his name when he
I don't
changed
remember
it,
it was
but
Pope whatever, but it was Ratzinger because he was also the guy who had been behind the master strategy of hiding the priests from law
yep,
enforcement when they
yep,
molested children. So that was
yeah,
Ratzinger too.
yes, but
Yeah, it's a
I don't
little
think
awful.
McCarthy's quite at that level, but
no, he's not. He's not that level of. It's like I'm just saying, it's the let's hire an old guy to be a palate cleanser move. You know,
McCarthy is sort of like Charles becoming king when his mother died at 180,
right?
and
And
he's
Charles
already like,
is already 80 himself. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
sort of Mike McCarthy, more Mike McCarthy than the child
Right.
molesting Nazi, Nazi Pope.
Well, to be fair, we don't think he molested anybody.
I don't know if he did or he didn't.
I said we don't think. I didn't say.
I didn't even say I think he didn't. I just said I don't know he did.
Well, this conversation has definitely gone off the rails a little bit.
Yes, yes.
All right, let's talk about the other brilliant hire. Todd Monken hired as the Browns head coach.
Success, Super
yeah.
Bowl.
Multiple people shot down and denied, like they were interviewed by the Browns, and then after their first interview said, no, that's okay. McDaniel apparently interviewed.
Who would want to go coach the Browns?
Well, did you hear they're making these guys take a personality test?
Yeah, they had an odd process.
You can't
Yeah,
make
it was
this
just-
up. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Something of that nature. They have a very different hiring process out there. It's I don't know the full details of it, but it's a bit odd.
You're not going to get any self-respecting, established NFL coach to go do that.
Right. Well, they got Todd Monken, so there you go.
So you're not going to get any self-respecting, established coach to do that. I'll repeat myself.
Yeah, I can't remember because McCarthy or McDaniel was the one big name I remember, but there was one or two other guys I think that I heard they announced like they were not gonna.
I mean, can you
take the job.
imagine? Yeah, you're going to have to take a personality test, coach.
I showed up in Cleveland. There's your personality test.
Yeah, really. I'm a glutton for punishment. What
Right.
does that mean?
I stayed on the phone with you for longer than 10 minutes. What do you
Yes,
think?
there you go.
Right. What a train wreck of a franchise that is.
Yeah, no kidding.
Washington was the same way.
Yeah. Oh, I know. We're still trying to dig out of it. Frankly.
Yes.
I mean, we had one good year, which is fantastic.
We can laugh now, but
Yeah.
It
but
was the exact same. It was really worse because, I mean, in some respects, because Cleveland didn't get caught with taking photos of cheerleaders and,
Right.
parties on boats and, all
Sure.
that stuff.
Leaving vanilla ice
Congressional,
cream on your coordinator's desk.
yeah,
Yep.
congressional hearings and congressional committees and
cutting
I
down a
mean,
bunch of trees in a national park.
Yeah. Well, it was behind his house, but yeah.
It was still a national park.
Yeah, yeah. None of that stuff. Cleveland's just incompetent from a football perspective. Washington was a far bigger train wreck of a franchise.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
I
good
would
luck.
argue honestly that at the very low point of the Dan Snyder, that might have been the biggest train wreck in American sports
Oh,
history. I mean, I can't
absolutely.
Oh,
really remember a
it,
franchise that's that far off the rails. Maybe the Marge shot Cincinnati Reds might have been that bad.
I,
But
it,
beyond that, I can't think of
it would
one.
be a fascinating study to really think about that. Like
Maybe
I'm just
that's
trying to.
another
Yeah,
off-season column I can write.
that definitely is. Well,
A look back.
Uh, the Black Sox would definitely be in
That's
that
just a
conversation.
cheating scandal, though. That's not all
Yeah,
the other stuff. That's different.
fair, and that's the players, not like the owner just being a train wreck of a human being.
Oh, and
Uh,
that's really Marge Shot was really more of a train wreck of a human being,
yeah,
you know. So I in terms of just the team being a total mess,
yeah.
I off the top of my head, I can't think of one.
Well, let's just wish Todd Monken and his new Pro Bowl quarterback Shadur Saunders
Yeah.
there you go.
all
I
the
think
luck in the world.
to summarize this in all seriousness, this really strange one was I forget who the Bills hired, but
They promoted Joe
Brady,
Brady, who was their
Joe
OC.
Brady.
I don't know why they would have let the coach got the most out of Josh Allen, who improved
Right,
quite a bit, over the past couple of years. And yeah, okay, they lost a game that they should have won, and
right.
honestly, but I thought that was a really strange firing.
Yeah, well, look, there were a lot of those. The Broncos fired their OC after the NFC Championship. Because yeah, it was his fault that you had to play your backup quarterback in a
Yeah, right.
blizzard and you could only score 7 points, right? Like that's a rational thing to do after those circumstances is fire your
Yeah,
OC. Like just some of these
the Bills one
teams
really
get
confused me, and
idiotic. Yeah,
I could sort of get the Ravens. Something had to change with the Ravens.
right.
Maybe it should have been Lamar Jackson this Harbaugh, but
It's
that
harder to
kind of
find a new quarterback than a coach.
yeah, true. But the Bills, I just didn't understand that one at all. I really didn't.
I mean,
Well, the
a
I
lot
Falcons.
don't
of
care that much, but I didn't understand it.
Well, the Falcons with Stefanski, I think, is probably my favorite coach hire here because I mean he was 2-time coach of the year out there at Cleveland
Mhm.
with what he had out there, and I mean, he's going the team with it's got a little with with a very strong young defensive team out there. They got the offensive pieces in place. I mean, that team is the most intriguing team going the offseason with Stefanski as their head coach. That's the one I like the most out of all this.
I actually agree with that. Like it's probably the safest hire, and I'll be curious to see what Harbaugh does in New York. I don't think it'll go well, but I think it'll be interesting.
They have some talent in the Giants.
They do, but they don't have a great GM. Their GM's kind of a boob,
Yes,
so that helps. All right, that kind of wraps up that. Did we hit everything? I
we
think we hit
did.
I think
everything.
so, yeah.
Amazingly enough.
There was no other topics. Checking. No one's been fired randomly. Okay,
Going once,
cool.
going twice.
Sold.
right.
All right, guys. So here's my advice. We're supposed to get more snow in DC. If you haven't shoveled by now, just don't. Just give up. You know.
I don't
And
own a snow shovel, but continue.
yes. Well, this was so bad. I just used a regular shovel because you couldn't break it with a snow shovel.
I just don't understand the people leaving their cars out in the streets, still covered in snow after the drop in temperature we had the last couple of days. You realize that's like a block of ice around your car. I
Yeah.
mean, what are you thinking? That's just
Yeah. Nuts.
whatever.
Move to
People don't know.
Texas.
People don't know how to handle bad weather. A lot of people. All right, guys. We will talk to you all next week. All right.
La-
Later.
Later.